Hi, welcome to Making It with Miss Bree. I am Miss Bree, and on this show, we make things that help us get our feelings from in here to out there. This week, we are making sensory jars. So I like to begin each episode by doing a strong emotional check-in. So today we're going to do it with a little game. So the rules of the game are that you have to tell us how you're feeling in one breath, but without using any words. So, yeah. So for example, if you asked me how I was feeling,
how are you feeling?
I would say,
Okay. I would say I'm feeling.
Okay, great. If you had to put words, I know. If you had to put words to that feeling, what would you say?
Calm and steady.
Ooh, okay. I'm feeling sort of anxious, but not unpleasant.
Okay. Well, you look very pleasant today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So today we are going to keep talking about self-care, like we talked about last time. And remember that self-care is really just about you taking what's in here and getting it out. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So today what we're going to do is make these things called sensory bottles, as you can see right here. Yes, you may hold. Before we go ahead and make these little sensory jars, I want to talk about what the word sensory actually means. So what do you think sensory means?
I think it means to engage your senses, or of engaging your senses.
Okay, good. So what are your senses?
Taste, smell, sight, hearing, and touch.
Yes, which you shouldn't do right now unless you're alone.
Or your hands are clean.
Yes, but high five to you, you passed kindergarten.
Thank you.
So senses are actually just any way that your body receives information. So scientists actually argue that, you know, the scientists out there,
all of them. Like Bill Nye,
argue that
Blue Ivy. Did you see her thing on Twitter the other day? Anyway, keep going.
Is she a scientist?
She's pretty damn close.
Okay, anyone can be one, actually, through
but
the
that's
scientific method.
Episode.
Yeah. So, yes, so scientists actually argue that there's over 20 different senses that we actually have.
So are you in touch with the scientists, or I just want to pressure test you? Yeah?
Yeah, they're on Google.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they do argue that there's over 20 different senses.
Oh.
And some of them, you know, we are aware of, but we're not really aware of. For example, balance is a sense. So if this chair were missing a leg and I felt like I was going to fall and I sensed that, then I would do things with my body to make sure I didn't fall. And that's kind of what senses are about. They're signals to your brain, and they tell you how to feel, and then they tell you how to act. So that's what senses are. So
makes sense.
Do you remember the other day when, after a long work day,
I have no idea what she's about to say. So
we went to walk the dogs, and you said you were a little bit cranked.
Right.
So you were talking very heatedly, and you were going on, and you were telling me about things, you know, with all of your body in a very like loud tone.
Yes.
So what was happening at that point was your senses, because you had come from an intense work day, were so you were cranked.
I was cranked.
But we went to walk the dogs, and you were still receiving like that information, but your body was no longer in that state and you hadn't taken the time to calm down yet.
So
how does this translate to like what everyone is going through during the quarantine?
I am so glad you asked, because just like how I said the other day that I was anxious for no reason. So our brain loves to make patterns. It makes pattern after pattern. That's how we learn how we're supposed to react. So if I pushed you right now,
I think
there are automatic things that we do, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone always tells a story about how a kid like goes to touch a pot and then,
Yeah.
they draw back and you don't touch it anymore. So there's lots of things in our life that we react to all the time. Going through our day, okay, we're sensing things all the time. So even right now, like we're sensing that we're on sturdy stools. I'm sensing that you're next to me. I'm sensing that all the things I see in the room. Those things are happening constantly and they're always going straight to your brain. So no matter whether you're aware of what you're sensing, it's there.
Right.
So when you are in a sort of crisis situation, your brain does a lot more automatically than when you're not in crisis. So when you are feeling stressed, whether it's the quarantine right now or just stressors that we have in our life, you're much more likely to do things automatically, whether they make sense or not. But when you're trying to calm yourself down and feel better, you must engage lots of different senses in order to truly calm down. So like the other day when we were walking and you said you were cranked.
yeah.
It wouldn't have been helpful for me to say to you, well, why are you so cranked? Calm down. Most of the time as humans, we just want to talk about our feelings, we want to talk about things. But if you do things without engaging your senses, then you're not truly taking care of yourself and calming down. So for example, the other day when you said you were cranked, if I just said to you, calm down, were you calm then?
No.
No. So in order for you to calm down, you had to do things like, okay, I'm gonna like take deep breaths. I'm gonna consciously talk in a softer voice. I'm going to slow down. And then slowly those things began to actually happen for you.
Mm-hmm. And I was less cranked. Because I pretty much stay cranked, but just different degrees.
Okay, so the whole point of making the sensory jars is that when you are looking to feel better, when you're looking to take care of yourself, you have to engage more than just your brain. You have to engage different parts of your body to get it all to line up. And there's lots of different tools that you can use to do this. One of them is just consciously using your senses. But today I'm gonna show you how to make what people call a sensory jar. And the reason that this is called a sensory jar is because it can engage a lot of your senses. So you can watch it, you can listen to it, and you can also touch it and use it in your hands. So, are you ready to make one?
I'm ready. I'm
Okay.
ready to listen to my jar.
Okay, so we're getting ready to make these sensory jars here. Now, it doesn't have to be a jar that you use. You can use water bottles, Gatorade bottles, anything basically that is clear and has a lid. So I've even seen this done with like little spice containers or things like that. So you start with your container, and the items that you're gonna need are some kind of oil. So you can use baby oil, or you can use vegetable oil, or really any kind of oil. You just have to keep in mind that they might have different colors, which you can't get rid of. And then the other supplies that you need are food coloring, water, And then any props that you want to put into the sensory jar. And so this is really where you can get creative. So
Oh, I almost spilled the glitter. Sorry about that.
it's okay. So then there's glitter. It's not time.
I know, but I didn't want to waste the glitter.
So there's confetti I have over here. There's glitter. There's beads. There's lots of different beads. So you're gonna kind of make the jar whatever speaks the most to you. So the first step is to put the baby oil in. So you may use this baby oil. Okay. And you want to fill it about a third of the way with baby oil. And you just put it on in there.
Oh, you're not okay.
Smells good. That's my
It's like a race.
smell sense.
Now you probably could take the top off of baby oil and it would come out faster. You said a third?
Oh yeah, that's good.
Too much?
That's,
okay.
It'll be okay.
For some reason I heard 3/4.
not at all. Okay, so now it is time for us to actually add the color to the jars. So the first thing that we need to do is fill these cups with warm water. So there you go.
I can do that.
So you can see throughout this experience, we're not even to the jar yet, but we've already done so much to engage our senses. We've talked about colors, we've talked about warm water versus cold water, we've talked about the things that we're hearing and seeing and smelling. There's already so many ways that I've been engaged. Thank you. So what color do you want to make your water?
Green.
Here you go.
Like emerald.
I'm gonna go ahead and make mine purple, which is gonna take 2 food colorings, blue and red.
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay, so now you're gonna put the food coloring on in there. Yeah. And we have to make sure it's mixed together really good before we pour it in the jar.
Is that what this is for?
You could use the knife.
I'm good.
Okay.
Just gonna, me and Green, we have a special.
I was also gonna say if you wanted
relationship.
to make the experience even more sensory, you can just use your fingers.
Yeah. The warm water after a long, hard day at work doesn't feel too bad.
What do you think about your color
I
now?
like it. It's rich.
It is rich. What would you call that green?
Emerald.
Okay. What what would you call mine?
I wanted to say sapphire, but I don't want to give Miss Laura any props for her community because it's all about emerald. So I would say it's like the color of grape Gatorade.
Okay, great. So now what you're gonna do with your water is go ahead and pour it into the jar. So it should be like almost all the way to the top. So then you're gonna put your lid on. Now, if you are worried about the lid coming off or leaking, you can always put either super glue or tape around the top.
Or a rubber band.
No.
No? Okay.
Why would
This
that?
is your show. I'm just making some suggestions, okay? Just trying to contribute.
The point is that you don't want to shake the jar and then it spills all over your carpet.
Okay.
Because your mom would be mad. Or your wife.
Yep.
So, okay, so that's it. So now you have your sensory jar and you can play with it.
I love the sound. What I wasn't expecting was to hear the sound of the glitter kind of rustling.
I think what you're hearing is the beads. So if you listen really close,
you're right.
you can feel them. It's kind of like a rain stick.
Yeah, the bead. Yeah.
Yeah.
A rain stick.
And you can see that whether you move your jar faster or slower, you get a different experience. So I could shake the jar and then watch it separate.
Who knew that you could engage all these senses just from a jar?
Yeah, exactly. So one thing that I like to do when I work with people in my office and we use sensory jars is I like to tell them to make the jar match their brain. And then they can watch the jar slowly return back to center. And you can try to match your body as you do that. So if you were having, a particularly stressful day, you might shake the jar really fast, then you would slowly watch it return back. Or maybe you come in, you're feeling kind of sad, and so you would just
kind of bloop around.
Bloop around. Yes.
Yep.
So now that you have made your sensory jar, you're probably wondering, well, what are all the things that I can do with it? So what I like to do with my jar is I put it on my desk and I use it throughout the day to either focus my eyes or just to have something to play with in my hand or something to listen to if you put heavier beads in your jar. You can also use the jar times when you feel anxious or your body is moving faster than you'd like it to. So trying to keep the jar still is a challenge. And you can try to steady your heart and your breathing by keeping the jar steady as well. I wanted to show you, I actually made a different style jar. So this is just a one in a water bottle. And there's lots of letter beads in there. So you can actually look at it. You can try to make words with the letter beads. And this one also makes a really nice sound because there's lots of beads in there. So I don't know if you can hear it.
Excuse me. I would like to share what I have been doing with my jar.
Great.
So these are all very good ideas, but I decided to take your advice a step further and personalize and make my jar a person.
Okay.
So I'd like to introduce you and everyone out there to Friend Flintstone.
Wow.
See, in
so
quarantine.
Nice. So nice to meet you, friends.
He's not ready for the touching senses yet,
sorry.
okay? So just respect his space.
Yeah.
Quarantine can be a lonely time. Quarantine can be a time when we feel alone. And so what we need is a friend. And maybe that's not your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, your grandma, not even your wife, your husband, or your partner. Sometimes you just need a friend. And this is Friend Flintstone. So, okay, bye.
I'm so glad that you loved it so much. I am so grateful that you joined me today on Making It with Miss Bree. I'm gonna take my sensory jar, take you on into my office over here so I can get some work done. But I'm taking my sensory jar with me, placing it right here on the corner of my desk. And if I need to get focused, I'm gonna give it a good shake and I'm gonna think of you all. Have a great day.
You want a friend? Anyway, so I'm sitting there. And the guy comes out. Oh, thanks, babe. Appreciate it. Me and friend are having a riveting conversation right now. Thank you. So anyway, friend, you wouldn't believe what he treated me like at work today. It was crazy.